everybody, Ben Razza here for Odd Chopper, wishing you a happy Halloween. It's Halloween, but in the betting world, that doesn't really matter. We've got plenty of games, including Monday Night Football, to break down. We've scanned the board, broken down the lines, and I have my favorite bet of the day. If you've just discovered Odd Chopper, what a great day to do it. Hopefully, you've looked around and you like what you see. You're going to stick around. Press subscribe. Join this community. We're growing quickly. If you want to support us, hit the like button as well. It is greatly appreciated. Now, last time I saw you guys was Saturday. We're starting to dial in. Ole Miss seemed trappy. It really wasn't. They're just a better team than Texas A&M. We saw them wear them down. They ran through them just as we thought they would. We've cashed it. We're on a nice stretch here. We carried that momentum into today. In addition to that, speaking of momentum, you see it on the screen. Bet 10, win 200. Just another way to make some money with BetMGM. Link in the description of this video what you do. You sign up, you put in $10, bet it on an NBA money line, and once the team hits a 3, they give you $200 in free bets. It's that simple. Take that money and bet football. Take that money and bet golf. Take that money and bet whatever you want. But you might as well take advantage and get the $200 in free bets. Now, let's take advantage of what we got going on tonight. Tough game. I don't know. I kind of like the Browns, I'll be honest, but I just couldn't do it. They've been so bad. They give games away. Them and the Bengals clash, divisional matchup. Competitive spread, no doubt about it. This is a back and forth game. Let's see, where is this line? I'm doing this on the fly here. It was at 3.5 right now, as you can see there. Over under of 45. I ultimately stayed away from that. I'd rather go to the prop world. Found a prop that I really do like. But let's get into the teams first. The Bengals 4-3. They've won 4 out of 5, 2 straight. Beat New Orleans, beat Atlanta. Burrow, pass catchers, Mixon. Prolific offense, down Jamar Chase, certainly a big deal. Not going to really impact a ton of what we're talking about, but at the same time, I think it does in the sense that, of course, the Browns are more likely to win with Chase out, and he is, in fact, out. Cleveland, I mean, they're 2-5. They've lost 4 straight. They've lost 5 out of 6. This stretch of games has just been miserable from them. They're coming off a 3-point loss against Baltimore. They had a 3-point loss to Atlanta. They had a 2-point loss to the Chargers. They gave that game away earlier in the year to the Jets. It's just been ugly for them. They give games away. That's why I had trouble backing them at 3.5. Again, that's a discussion, but let's start to get into what we're actually talking about here. Nick Chubb, it's not his fault. Guy's a machine, and I'm going over 83.5 rushing yards for him at -115 tonight. First of all, Nick Chubb, he's averaging 5.9 yards per carry, which is ridiculous for the volume he receives. To be that efficient on the ground when the other team is scheming for you, when you're the focal point of the offense, what an impressive back. And I really don't see Cincinnati stopping that or even being able to contain them. Cincinnati, they're not, the worst run defense in the league, but they're far from the best. Currently, they sit at 19th in rushing yards allowed per attempt at 4.6 yards per opponent carry. Not great, not awful, but certainly they've shown that you can have success against them on the ground. It simply comes down to this. Nick Chubb is the type of back, certainly when we're talking about rushing yards prop, carries are the only thing that matters, but even just game script. He needs to play from ahead if we're really going to maximize the volume. Now, he can get there in 2 different ways, and we're going to talk about that in just a second, but ideally, Cleveland wins this game. Nick Chubb should soar over this total. If you knew Cleveland won the game, this prop would be 10, 15 yards higher if it was a guarantee that Cleveland was going to win. And I'll just illustrate it so far this season. 2 wins for Cleveland. Nick Chubb in those games, 26 and 29 carries. He went well over 100 yards. He had 130 yards in one of those games. I mean, he soared over the century mark. 26 and 29 carries in those wins. They lean on him. He ices the game. Ton of carries and a ton of volume. During this 4-game losing streak, these are his carries: 19, 17, 12, and 16. That's a far cry from what we just talked about. Now, to his credit, over that 4-game stretch, he still cleared 83.5 yards in 3 of those 4 games. So it just shows it's not just volume that has to get him there. He can get there on efficiency. He can get there breaking some long runs. So we have kind of multiple ways to get there. Ideally, he crosses 20 carries in this game.
Do you think in your prime and in Hurts' prime, like right now, he could squat more than you?
Without question. What? Without question.
Not even close?
Not even close.
I mean, is he squatting what the linemen are squatting, basically?
Like the big offensive
Big
line. Yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm 600, 680. I don't even know if I ever touched 7.
I thought, what was he doing, 720 or something?
I think he did like 7. He did over 7.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
And I think that was at college.
Yeah. That's when he was just a pup. Like, he might be stronger now. It's crazy.
Yeah. His legs are massive. Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back from the weekend. We're not going anywhere, though. Matter of fact, we're closing out week 8 right here on the Stokastic.com NFL Showdown Strategy Show. Cincinnati Bengals at the Browns. A lot of injuries in this one. A lot of excitement, oddly enough. We're going to break all that down right now. I'm Dave Loughran at Lafayette_D on the Twitters, LOUGHY_D. Joined as always by Matt Gajewski at Matt_Gajewski. What's going on, brother?
Not too much, man. Excited for more football. We're in the midst of our 27-day stretch. Monday Night Football's here. I'm excited for the matchup. You're right about the injuries, though. It's going to be an interesting one for Showdown from that perspective because of the injuries.
Yeah, definitely. And some injuries that on a main slate wouldn't be a big deal are definitely going to factor into this one. And joining us, very, very unfortunate that he couldn't join us last week after an impressive Chicago Bears win over the New England Patriots, but he's here this. Hey, they put up a lot of points yesterday. Alex Brown, former defensive end for the Chicago Bears, at Alex Brown 96. What's going on, man?
I'm good, man. That is very unfortunate. We put up a lot of points yesterday, but hell, we still lost by 20. It's just that was rough. But last week I should have been here because we beat my Bulls. We beat the Boston Celtics, and the Bears beat New England. It's like a perfect time to come on and talk great about my Chicago teams.
Hey, are your kids at the age where they're going out trick-or-treating and you're going out with them?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. How old are your kids?
15, 11, and 5. That's in the house. We have a son that's 21, but he's not here.
So that's, the perfect age. My daughter's a little over the year and a half, so she's not going to, my wife will take her around a little bit, but she won't know what's going on. Yeah,
it's kind of scary now. It's kind of scary for a 1-year-old,
I'm okay with it. I think you got to break her in early. Get her. Let me ask you guys something, being that it's Halloween today. And by the way, happy to have you guys with us. Hit that thumbs up as you walk in the door. Subscribe to the channel. It helps us greatly. When you were a kid, say you're trick-or-treating, right? And somebody, you walk by a house and they've left out like the full-size candy bars, right? Mm-hmm. Nobody's home. It says, please take one. Okay. You're 11 years old, 12 years old. Mm-hmm. What do you do, Matt?
I would just take one.
What would you do, AB?
I'm taking one of each.
Okay.
Like
I would empty the basket. And I say that because we used to. Now it'd be several of us. So Matt, even as a kid, you're telling me you would have followed the rules there, huh? That's impressive.
I would have, which is maybe shocking to some of you considering my behavior on this stream.
The reason I say that is because I look at it now, and because my wife's like, because I have a show tonight, and she goes, I'm just going to leave the basket out. And I go, those fucking kids, if they come by and empty the basket, I'm going to kill them. I've changed to the point where now I'm the guy that looks at them. I'm going to look at my video doorbell and be like, I know that kid, what an asshole. But I get it. I understand it. All right. Anyway, we got one game to talk about, Cincinnati and Cleveland. AB, this is big because you have no Jamar Chase on one side. And while it may not seem like a big deal, no David Njoku on the other side. He's been pretty involved this season. So injuries are going to play a factor. And if I were to go one step further, even a guy like Stanley Morgan, who maybe would have got some snaps, he's out too. So we're going to have to dive deep here, figure out who are the real primary beneficiaries in these offenses today. Yeah,
we will. But when you look at just how important this game is, it's a division game. They're close. Everybody's still vying or available or has a chance to win this division. the big dogs are going to get the work, you know, the guys that I don't think you have to think too hard into this today. I think you just look at the big dogs. They're going to get the work. They're going to get the touches. They're going to get the targets. I mean, it's going to be on one side, it's going to be Nick Chubb, and you got
Kareem Hunt.
Yep, Kareem Hunt. So you got those two on one side, then you got Mixon on the other side. What's weird about this game for me is that it's typically a high-scoring football game. Like over the last 10, like they score points. The winner scores over 30 points. So over the last 10, I think it's 7 times it's happened. They're going to score. So it's just going to be who's going to score. I mean, with Chase out, Brissett's going to throw the ball all over the place, and whoever gets hot with him, that's who's going to kind of benefit. But getting the receiver right on the other side is going to be key for Cincinnati, that is.
Let's talk about it, Matt. You got the Bengals here. We got to dive straight into the wide receiver position. Jamar Chase with the hip injury, not going on IR according to Zach Taylor, but he's probably out a decent amount of time. They got a week 10 bye, so maybe that puts him in a situation where he doesn't have to go on IR, but he's definitely out today. We'll talk about the defense here because they've got a few notable injuries as well, but we'll do that when we get to the Browns. Let's start with Chase. You have Higgins, you have Tyler Boyd, 2 obvious beneficiaries here. We can talk about somebody like Hayden Hurst as well. Let's actually start with who benefits the most that isn't the guys that are normally getting the large majority of snaps.
I think it's probably going to be Mike Thomas.
Yeah.
And this is kind of just a guess because Trent Taylor plays a little bit here as well. But Trent Taylor, over the course of his career, he's a longtime NFL veteran, actually. He's mainly a slot receiver. That's where he's played most of his snaps this year with the Bengals. So I think, Mike Thomas being a player that is on the outside more is a more logical replacement for Jamar Chase. Trent Taylor, I think, would be the guy stepping up if Boyd got hurt. But I do think it's Mike Thomas here. But maybe they split this a little bit, rotate players around. It's tough. We don't know exactly how they'll handle it. But right now, my first inclination is that Mike Thomas will play a little more than Trent Taylor.
I think you're right. Do you think the absence of, and again, we have to dig deep on these slates because you do have some higher priced players. Do you think the absence of Stanley Morgan is going to be impactful in the sense that you could see one of Mike Thomas or Trent Taylor get the large majority of snaps tonight and just be on the field a ton?
Yeah, I think so. Stanley Morgan's a guy they've kept around for multiple years now. He's a preseason hero, but they value him as a depth piece on the offense. I think he might have stepped up ahead of some of these guys. So him being out is impactful in my opinion. And he's a player that can go on the outside as well. So I think that kind of opens it for Mike Thomas, but we'll see how they plan on treating this. Maybe we'll get a report throughout the day. That's where I'm going to be leaning right now.
AB, the 2 guys up top, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd. Amazingly, Boyd has some long touchdowns this season, which was surprising to me. He's got 2 50-plus yard touchdowns, heavily targeted last week. And, of course, T. Higgins, who's just fantastic. Do you have any preference here, or are you just looking to load up as much of this non-Chase passing game as you can?
I think you load up with without Chase being there, the bulk of it has to go to somebody, right? So I do believe you have to understand that Chase made a defense do something different. With him not there, well, they don't have to do that anymore. They can play more vanilla, if you will. They don't have to double team Chase or keep an eye on Chase, which sometimes leaves Boyd or Higgins or somebody one-on-one or get lost. Like what happened with Boyd last week. They just completely forgot about him. He's running wide open. So I don't think that happens because Chase isn't there, but he's going to get more targets now. So if he walks away with 8, 9 targets, he's probably one of the guys you want to have because, they're going to have to score points. This is a game that's going to be a lot of points are going to be scored. I'm not sure what the over-under is, but
45.
45. So there's going to be some points scored. So I do like him. I like Higgins too. If he gets those one-on-ones, it's just a matchup nightmare for most corners because they're not as tall. And he makes those catches. He goes up and he gets those balls. So I like both of them.
Yeah, Matt, this is pretty amazing. We have Higgins at 23% top play probability in our Showdown top plays tool, 20% chance of being an optimal captain, but ownership is what, 64% combined between captain and utility. Still have him with the highest leverage score in the entire slate.
Yeah, the one thing I'll say about that is where the projections are definitely guessing. Like the way projections are made, you have to like guess at target shares, especially when a premier player like Jamar Chase is removed. So this could vary drastically depending on what you like put T. Higgins target share, air yard share, some of the metrics he has. So yeah, I understand why he's so high, but like there's a lot of volatility in this. Rather than T. Higgins dominating all the targets, they could spread some to Boyd, they could spread some to Mike Thomas. I don't know how it's going to play out. The bottom line is they priced him as if Jamar Chase is playing. So he's just, in terms of raw value, the best individual play you could possibly make on the slate. To me, it comes down to the ownership. Is he going to be over-owned, under-owned? For tournaments, I'm not sure on that yet, but in a vacuum in cash games, he's the first guy in your lineup and he's your captain.
The price, though, is so cheap yes, we're guessing. Obviously, we don't know what the target share looks like, but if you were to tell me that T. Higgins was $8,000 AB, or in the captain spot, $12,000 on a non-Jamar Chase day, that is really inexpensive.
Yes, absolutely it is. I mean, he should be much higher. In the captain spot, though, he'll be what, 12?
Yeah, 12. Yeah.
He'll be 12. Yeah. So I mean, I still think he should be a little higher than that.
Burrow's 17 in the captain spot.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, man, so where do you go? You know, so to be different, I mean, everybody's gonna think that this is the way you go. But when you look at, and I know we haven't gotten there yet, but you look at the team they're playing, that has to play a part. I mean, we're talking about a very, very poor Cleveland team that does not stop the run. They are really bad. Where does Joe Mixon fall in? You know, like that's, I think, where you get different, because he also is a part of that passing game as well.
Yeah, Captain Higgins, go Pharaoh Brown in the utility, Matt. How about that? Old Pharaoh Brown.
Hey man, these crazy builds, these tight ends, they ship showdowns a lot. So if you're playing Millie Maker stuff, I don't hate that at all.
No, me neither. I noticed that Mike has put Halloween props next to all of us, and for a second I thought that Matt actually had like a Halloween setup near his mic, and I'm thinking there's no way he would ever take the time to do something like that, ever.
That is true. I don't have any Halloween decorations.
No, like your TV's on top of your microwave. You're not setting up a
The TV's out right now. I actually have it out. I was watching some football yesterday. The microwave's on top of my fridge until I decide to cook again.
So so is it plugged in on top of the fridge, or will you move it back to its proper position before you use it?
It's not plugged in. I have to move it back to its proper position.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I do that every weekend usually.
I tell you though, Matt, the defense, Joe Wood's defense is not good right now. And I know the other week they looked better against Cleveland, but at the same time, AB just mentioned that they've been gashed on the ground. Honestly, though, the secondary has not been very good either, and they're dealing with some injuries as well. You still have no Denzel Ward. I think they actually have a couple questionable cornerback guys in the secondary for this one as well. This could look like a spot where this might be a pick your poison type spot for the Bengals offense, not just passing game, but their offense in general today. And you're just going to have to get it right, because they may, like AB said, they may score 30 points. It wouldn't shock me at all.
Right. They were on a showdown slate not that long ago. And I remember you and I talking about this team.
Baltimore.
Yeah, trying to rationalize how bad they've been to start the year. And we're going through the individual players like, all right, they have a lot invested in their secondary, multiple first and second round picks. Why aren't they producing? And that's a question you can ask on most weeks, but this week they're all hurt. No Denzel Ward. Greedy Williams is questionable. You have Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. He's kind of like this undersized nickel linebacker, Swiss Army knife for their team. He's questionable, and he didn't practice the entire week. I'd be really surprised if we see him. You've got Jadeveon Clowney, questionable. There's a lot of players on this team questionable on the defensive side of the ball, which doesn't help a unit that was already underachieving. So I'm with AB. I like the over in the game as far as a betting perspective, and that should help DFS, especially on the Bengals side. And then you look at their prices. What do you guys think the common build is going to be today? Do you think it's going to be like 5 1s, 4 2s? I ran some optimals this morning, and you're getting a lot of that because the Bengals are all too cheap.
4-2 makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Bryant's pretty cheap. The Chubb is still very good. As bad as the Browns have been, AB, they still have it's the Browns have been bad, but it's not like they're Texans bad in the sense that, like, yeah, you have Pierce or Cooks, but you could see them scoring no points at all. I think there's still some good quality talent on this Brown side of the football too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, well, Nick Chubb leads it. I think he leads it. If you get in a shootout, Cooper's gonna have to have a big day. It's gonna be Nick Chubb. It's gonna be Hunt. Like, who's gonna have those big days, especially with Njoku being out. So I don't think they're as like weirdly like you have to pinpoint where the production is gonna come from. As far as when you look at the other side with Cincinnati, I think there's a question that where's this production going to come from? Who's gonna be the one that keeps them in the game or run the score past 30, which I think somebody will hit tonight.
All right, so let's dig a little bit deeper into this one, fellas, and then we'll go to the Cleveland side. Also, as always, we'll build a lineup at the end of the show, see what we come up with. Sometimes we come up with something nice. Sometimes it doesn't do all that well. It's tough to build a 3-person lineup, but we do our best. So, Matt, I want to go back to your question with the 5-1, 4-2 type builds. I mean, who knows? Maybe a 3-3 wins it. Maybe it's a low-scoring game. It's a showdown slate. Anything can happen. But when we look at Higgins and Boyd, and all of these pass catching options, I mean, honestly, I think that Mike Thomas is 100% fine, just given how bad Cleveland's secondary has been. I have no problem going to some of these guys and hoping they just fall, catch a couple passes, get into the end zone. What do you make of Hayden Hurst, who's had a couple, relatively speaking, if you're in context with the actual position, had a couple good weeks this year?
Yeah, he's essentially the same player as CJ Uzoma. On a high-powered offense, he's going to have big weeks coming usually through multiple touchdowns, and he's done exactly that to start the year. When I look back at our single game top plays tool I'm on DraftKings right now. The top 5 values are Joe Burrow and his 4 pass catchers in order of T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, Hayden Hurst, and Mike Thomas, which is absolutely ridiculous to see, which is kind of why I was bringing up the 5-1s. When I ran optimals, you're essentially getting all 5-1s with varying captains between Burrow, Higgins, and Boyd. And then you're just getting like whatever expensive Cleveland Brown fits in that last spot, like Nick Chubb, Jacoby Brissett, Amari Cooper. And that's how like your top 20 optimals are basically shaking out. So essentially, like, all these guys are awesome plays. It's not just because they're a high-powered offense, but they're all priced as if Jamar Chase is in the lineup. Like, T. Higgins should be 10K. Tyler Boyd should be like 7.5. Hayden Hurst should be over 6. And Mike Thomas is the wide receiver 3, should be at least 3K. So every one of these guys is about 1,000 underpriced. It's ridiculous.
It's almost like they're priced not entirely that Chase is active, but they're not priced that Chase is inactive at all.
I think you're going to be contrarian by fading just 1 or 2 of them. So AB brought this up early, just kind of in passing when he was talking about the Cleveland Browns run defense. I think Joe Mixon is an excellent play tonight. There's a chance he goes really underowned because he's, like Chase affects all the receivers. So all these receivers come in slightly underpriced. Well, Mixon's kind of priced independently of them, like not entirely, but Mixon's price doesn't have a lot to do with Chase's injury. So he's still pretty much where you would expect. I think Mixon could come in underowned on this slate.
I love Joe Mixon today. I'm with you. AB, the Browns defense has allowed, and you alluded to this. Listen to how many rushing yards they've been allowing. 160 against Baltimore, 98 against New England, or whatever, 238 against the Chargers, The week before that, 202 to the Atlanta Falcons, 104 to the Steelers, and 104 to the Steelers is like 290 to any other team. So they have really struggled to contain the run. Now, Joe Mixon has not performed well. He's been super inefficient, and they haven't been able to block for him either. This might be a get-right game, so to speak, for Joe Mixon, and I really hope it is.
That's exactly what I'm thinking, too, because I think the ownership will be down as well because he hasn't had a great year or a Joe Mixon type year up to this point. So I think he comes out and I think he has a really good game. I'm not going to look past P. Ryan either because he'll come in and he could steal a touchdown in there as well. So it's that running game. I think this Cleveland team, let's not like overlook this. They are one of five defenses that gives up 4.7 yards per run, and they've given up 10 plus touchdowns on the ground. This is that type of defense. They are terrible. Trust me, one of the other five is my Chicago Bears. So I know, I watch them. It is not good, okay? It's not good. They cannot stop the run. I think they're going to come in Cincinnati. Yes, Jamar Chase is gone. They'll come in and they'll throw it around. But they're going to run the ball a lot tonight. If they don't, between the two, I'd be shocked if they don't run the ball 26, 28 times. And that's a lot of carries in this football game.
And it's not like they haven't wanted to get the run game going all year.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
They'll just be effective this time. They'll be effective tonight, and it'll cause them to run it more, I think. I think you're right. The only caveat, Matt, is that their pass defense is just as bad.
Yeah, that's true. It's kind of all right. We've seen like the Bengals have been very sensitive to their opponents and honestly sensitive to their own roster. They were really run heavy when Burrow was first coming off that ACL tear. So now it's like, what do we think Zach Taylor does without Jamar Chase? Do they try to use Joe Mixon a little bit more? Do they try to rely on T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, and Mike Thomas? I don't necessarily know the answer to that. So I'm going to be closely monitoring this ownership throughout the day and trying to go the opposite way of the field. That doesn't mean I'm not going to play T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd, but maybe it's just, all right, I use Joe Mixon in my captain spot, and then I try to use Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins in the flex and be creative that way. So this will be something we watch throughout the day. I'm very curious to see how Cincinnati plays today because I think this is going to be telling for the next few weeks without Jamar Chase.
Do you have any under the radar, low owned, possible tournament winning options for the Bengals? Matt, people look to you for this type of stuff. This is critical, and it's important that you get this right.
Yeah, it is. I mean, Stanley Morgan is a logical player to name here. Last week, same exact snap count as Mike Thomas. He actually ran more routes.
He's out, though.
Oh, so not Stanley Morgan, Trent Taylor, I'm saying.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Yeah.
Stanley Morgan is out. Trent Taylor ran the exact same routes as Mike Thomas. Stanley Morgan didn't even play last week. So,
yeah,
excuse me. That was just me saying the wrong name.
I figured that's what you meant, but yeah. Just want
more routes.
So not that guy. So not that one. Should I erase this? Okay. All right.
Dude, AB's gonna DM us tonight.
I'm ready.
Stanley Morgan, Matt, what's up, man?
Trent Taylor is the guy. Trent Taylor is the guy. So he's mainly a slot receiver, but we don't know how they're going to react, whether it's going to be just inserting Mike Thomas 1-for-1, doing this kind of by committee. Like it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility to see them use like Trent Taylor and have Tyler Boyd play out wide for a few snaps. We're not sure how this is going to work for this team, but ultimately he's a name to mention. They also use 2 tight ends a decent amount. It's not like they're near the top of the league or something, but Mitchell Wilcox is a guy they play a lot. He's mainly a run blocker, but he also ran 10 routes last week. That was more than either of the receivers. He's not like a logical replacement, but perhaps they go into more 2 tight sets, especially if they're using more Mixon. We're just talking complete flyers at this point, but those are the 2 names I would mention. And AB already hit on P. Ryan. We already know the path for him.
I also think we might be able to pull some cheaper options on the Cleveland side as well. So that might open things up a little bit. AB, I save this question for you every single week. You know what's coming, man.
Yeah.
Where are we at in McPherson? What are we doing with kickers tonight?
Listen, McPherson, when you got a Gator, and we have a lot of them in the league, when you have a Gator kicking, there's always a possibility of them ending up in the winning lineup. So yes, you have to play. You have to take a real hard look at McPherson tonight. I mean, he's right in that same area as Perine as far as pricing. So do you think if Perine gets a touchdown, he might be the better guy to get? But if he doesn't, McPherson's going to kick 2, maybe 3 field goals or if he gets the attempts, he's going to make them. He's a Gator. So, but that's just how he does. I mean, he's a legit guy. McPherson, and he can hit a 50-yard. So you get a 50-yard and a 40-yarder, it's going to take a lot for guys in that area, Peoples-Jones, Hurst, Perine, to beat him, So I do like him. I like him a lot, actually, tonight. On the other side, I think there will be opportunities for both kickers tonight. It's just if they're going to hit them, I believe McPherson's going to hit his. So I'm going with McPherson. I will have him in a few lineups. I don't know if I'll have him in the captain spot, although I have seen that work recently. So I might have to put the kicker in the captain spot.
How do you feel about Bengals defense tonight, Matt? Like they're a top 10 DVOA defense in pass defense and run defense. They haven't had those big outputs aside from one game against the Jets. Brown's offense is suspect, I think, but they still have weapons. Are the Bengals defense one of those spots you're looking to get to? And we do have them with a minus 4.7 leverage score today. So not great.
Right. That to me comes down more to pricing of the entire slate than it does matchup. And this is an approach I'm trying to take this year specifically. Is like, okay, defenses and kickers are really popular when we don't have an abundance of value. Today we do have that. So I honestly think there's a chance these go under-owned. It's hard because we're trying to balance the sentiment right now, which is all right. We've had a lot of low-scoring showdowns. People are trying to play defenses and kickers right now, just with recency bias. But on this slate, we have a lot of value options. So I'll be trying to mix in these defenses. The total is around 45. It's not like this is a 50-point total or anything. You could certainly see a path towards one of these defenses having a ceiling score. And I do prefer Cincinnati to Cleveland in this regard. You said that specifically the Cleveland offense was shaky, and I happen to agree there.
All right, let's talk super chats here, and then we'll get into the Browns. Benjamin with the super chat said, just popped in to say what's up to the crew and good luck to your Phils, Laffy. Thanks, man. We're going to need it. Houston's a better team, but anything can happen in October/November. Ryan Nelson, Falcons plus 225 to win the division. Love bad team value. Hey, you would have been getting a better number a couple weeks ago, but 225. The crazy thing is, they're first place in their division. If the Panthers won yesterday, the Panthers would have been first place in the NFC South. Up is down, left is right, AB. The Seahawks are 5-3. They lead the NFC West. The Vikings are 3 games up on the 2.5 games up on the Packers. I don't know what to make of any of this.
Well, like the old saying is, right? You are what your records say you are.
Well,
when this stuff happens, like when you look in the South, the Southern or the South Division, I'm just gonna go with a more talented team. I think Tampa's a more talented team. I think they find a way to win that. So, Atlanta, I think they're on a high right now. Yeah, they're playing decent football, but they just aren't talented enough.
God, were you gonna say something, Matt?
I wasn't. I agree with AB exactly.
Well, then why would you not say something?
Oh, I didn't know you were waiting for me.
No, I'm saying if you don't agree with him, that's what
I do agree with him. I agree with him entirely.
Okay.
We're in lockstep here.
God, okay. I thought you said I didn't agree with him. Exactly.
No. I do agree. I love that they're riding this hot streak. I don't think their offense running as much as they do can sustain it. And that division, it's not like devoid of talent. It's not completely wide open. I do think there are some talented teams that have underachieved. Meanwhile, some of the teams like Atlanta have overachieved a little bit. So I think in the long run, AB's right.
All right, Matt, who wins the NFC South?
Who wins it? I don't know. I just don't think it's Atlanta. I also don't think it's Carolina. I think it's
Who's
kind of a 2-horse
race.
race.
Do you still think Tampa Bay is the best team?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. They have to be. They have to be. They have to be. If it's Atlanta or Carolina, the world's coming to an end. All right, we'll talk about Cleveland here. Before we do though, shout out to our sponsor, Prize Picks. Look, there are certain sites out there that will incentivize you to play there, and then you go there and you're like, oh, the site's not that great. I see why they're incentivizing me. Prize Picks is, and especially for those of you in non-legal betting states who want to use your knowledge of props across any sport you can think of to win money. Because at Prize Picks, all you're doing is you're taking, 2 through 5 props, putting them into a lineup. So in a traditional book, that'd be considered a parlay. But if you hit all 5, you're 10Xing. The difference is at Prize Picks, you could hit 4 of 5 and 2X. You don't get that at a traditional book. You hit 3 of 5 props, you still get your money. You still get some money back. So really awesome format, way to sustain a bankroll, build a bankroll, take down some big prizes. Use all of our free tools over at Stokastic.com to take advantage of that. Odds Shopper. There's a million different sports too, and you can mix them into the same lineup. So like say you wanted to do NFL, you wanted to do college football, you wanted to throw basketball in there with a 5 prop lineup. You could do 2 NFL, 2 NBA, a college football, whatever it is, throw them all into the same one. Now, the best part is not the fact that you get up to $100 first match deposit bonus when you sign up using the link in the description or the one that Mike's going to throw in the chat, because that's awesome. But you get a free month of Stokastic Plus Platinum. That's $120 value just by signing up at Prize Picks, depositing, where you'll get your deposit bonus on top of that. There's no sharks there, optimizers, mass entries, none of that stuff. You're not at a disadvantage as you would be playing the millie with 2 lineups compared to the 1/5 to the maxers out there. It's awesome, especially if you know multiple sports. But even if you don't, you got all our tools for free. You get Stokastic Plus Platinum, $120 value. I mean, in all seriousness, it's the best sign-up promo you're probably ever going to get, with a first match deposit bonus up to 100 and the free month over at Stokastic. Use the link though. You got to use the link, otherwise you won't get it. So link in the description, link in the chat. Take advantage of it. Prize Picks, sponsor of the Strategy Show. AB, let's go back to you here. How do you want to attack the run game for Cleveland? We know Nick Chubb, at least I'm going to say it, is the best pure rusher in the league. I believe it. You don't have to. You don't have to. The guy is a monster day in and day out. Whether you believe it or not, you would agree. He's very, very good at football.
I totally agree.
Really?
I don't like it, because he's a Georgia Bulldog, and the Bulldogs really just beat the hell out of my Gators. But he is. If he didn't share the backfield with Hunt and you just gave him the bulk of the carries or all of the carries, he would be absolutely insane. He would just, I think he'd rush for 1,750, 1,800 yards.
Without question.
Touchdowns. Yeah, he would be that good. So, and he's super strong. His balance is crazy. He's a complete back in my estimation, I guess, but he's the way to go. I mean, if he goes, then it opens up stuff for Amari Cooper on the outside. It opens up the passing game a little bit. You're only going to get a little bit from Brissett, but he is the engine. And then Kareem Hunt comes in, and he's just that like different pace type back. Like Kareem Hunt can run. And I also think Kareem Hunt could do the same if you put him on a different team. Like you got 2 starting running backs in the same backfield. It just takes away from him though. So, but he is a monster. Chubb is.
He would be a 2,000-yard rusher if there was no one else in this backfield.
Yes, if you went 5 years, one of those years he rushed for 2,000.
He's on pace for almost 1,800 this year. He's averaging like 110 yards per game.
God. That's insane.
He's special, man. And Matt, the thing I love about Nick Chubb too, obviously I want you from a DFS perspective, but he wears a defense down. So if it's a neutral game script, positive game script, which it might not be, he's in the 3rd and 4th quarter. No one wants to tackle Nick Chubb anymore. And I mean, like, maybe not they don't want to, but we've seen him as a battering ram. Derrick Henry does the same thing. They put up monster yards in the second half, and they get those big breakaway runs. The problem with Nick Chubb is if you fall behind early, Nick Chubb is no longer doing what Nick Chubb is good at, and they refuse to use him at all in the passing game.
Yeah, I understand why they do that. They have an abundance of resources with Kareem Hunt also in the backfield, so it's kind of a luxury for them. little bit of a headache for people playing DFS. I think from a DFS perspective today, you're just playing Nick Chubb. There's no salary restrictions preventing you from doing that. You need to play a Cleveland Brown at some point. So do you want to play Jacoby Brissett? Do you want to play Amari Cooper, Kareem Hunt, or do you want to get to the best individual player on their team? So more times than not, I think I'm just going to be going with Nick Chubb. Even if our leverage scores don't love it necessarily, we seem to be really favoring these Cincinnati pass catchers. But at the end of the day, you can play the top 5 positive leverage players in Cincinnati, and then you just have to pick a Brown. So if I have to pick a Brown, give me Nick Chubb.
Yeah. Look, he has 2 touchdown upside for sure. He already has multiple 2 touchdown games this season. Well, he has a 3 touchdown game as well. AB touched on it a little bit, Matt, but what are your thoughts on Kareem Hunt here? Clear, he's almost half the price of Nick Chubb. He's not getting nearly as much work, obviously, and he hasn't been. I mean, maybe you can pull up the route participation numbers while I go over this, but he has 19 targets on the season to Nick Chubb's 14. And what surprised me the most is even when the Browns went down big against New England, 1 target on the game for Kareem Hunt. They've gone down in a couple games, not by a ton, but they've gone down. And Kareem Hunt's involvement, I should say, in the passing game has been kind of modest at best.
Yeah, routes run, it's kind of actually mirroring what you're saying. So maybe this is just a leak for me and something I've assumed over the years now, but 129 for Kareem Hunt, 104 for Nick Chubb. It is not drastically different.
Yeah. That's wow. Yeah, that's not much different at all. And AB, when it comes to Hunt, do you see yourself playing any lineups with Chubb and Hunt in the same spot? Do you see Hunt lineups without Chubb? How do you work the RB2 here in Cleveland?
Oh man, I think I can. If I'm playing Chubb, I'm playing him in the captain spot. I think I can sprinkle in Hunt, and I will. I won't play them together. I won't play them together. I just don't think you're going to get that much offense from them. I think you're going to get 2 touchdowns from the position, and if I don't think both go to Hunt. I think you could get 1 and 1, but I do see where you can get both going to Nick Chubb. So I would play him more probably and sprinkle in some Kareem Hunt, because if this game gets out of hand, it's going to be Kareem Hunt, even though he wasn't a part of that passing game. I guess the last game, was it?
Against the Patriots. Yeah.
Against the Patriots. So, yeah. So I don't know. I mean, that's going to be a tough decision. I'd much rather probably go on the other side. If I'm just gonna take a flyer at Kareem Hunt, I might just take P-Ron, man. I don't know. I have a good feeling about P-Ron tonight. I think he has for him and his salary, I think he has a good game, but we're talking about Hunt.
Yeah. By the way, hit that thumbs up if you haven't done so yet. We got a solid almost 400 people watching with us this morning. Happy Halloween, friends. But in all seriousness, atone for your sins. It helps us a ton. Otherwise, I wouldn't ask you. And if you're listening in podcast form, happy to have you guys too. A little late in the show, but leave a rating, review, all that stuff. Super helpful. Tell your friends about the show and subscribe to the podcast. You can check it all out too. We got a whole podcast network. All of our stuff goes up there if that's easier for you and you don't feel like looking at our faces. All right, Matt, anything else in the run game you want to hit on?
No, I agree with AB. I want to play some Kareem Hunt, but I'm going to be getting to more Chubb. I view the upside with him as a clear path to winning a GPP for Hunt. We have seen multiple touchdowns in games this year. They just don't happen as frequently. So I still will get to him, just not quite as much.
Okay. I'm just pulling up the red zone numbers here. I wanted to see what the goal line opportunities looked like for both of these guys. I would imagine that, yeah. Okay. So Chubb has 8. Hunt still has 5, and then red zone rushing attempts, 24 for Chubb, 18 for Hunt. Wow. 12 for Chubb inside the 10, 9 for Hunt. They're pretty close. That
is.
That's the one thing that scares me about Kareem Hunt, because he could have that multi-touchdown game and just vulture them from, it wouldn't even be a vulture. They're basically like 70-30 in the red zone. All right. Yeah, that's surprising to me. AB, let's get into the passing game. Look, they're not a super prolific passing offense. We know that. We've seen
Right.
a couple decent games from Jacoby Brissett, but he only has one game with more than one passing touchdown. 2 of his last 4, he has not thrown for a single touchdown. So there's some clear drawbacks to going to Jacoby Brissett, but Amari Cooper's had some games this year, and now with David Njoku out, you have to think Harrison Bryant is going to get at least a lot of playing time, if nothing else.
Absolutely. He has to come play. I mean, it's that next man up. You're going to get the targets. You're going to get the opportunity to come in and play. But I think it's going to benefit Amari Cooper the most. I mean, you look at the targets he's had over the last 5 games. I mean, he's had 10-plus targets out of 3 of those games. I think he has a 10-plus target game tonight. And with everybody going to, because Jamar Chase is out, it might not be a bad place to go because you know Amari Cooper is going to get these targets. You don't have to guess if it's going to be Higgins or Boyd. You know it's going to be Amari Cooper on this side now. If he gets 12, 14 targets, he's going to have a game that could help you win it. So I do like Amari Cooper here. And if they keep this game close, he's going to have a lot to do with it.
I want to back up for 1 second and get your guys' opinion on this. We had a couple good questions from chat. I think it's pretty self-explanatory here, but just get your guys' takes. And from a former player, we might get some insight into this as well. So the trade deadline's tomorrow at 4 p.m. We've heard that Kareem Hunt is I don't know if he's on the trade block, but there's certainly a lot of rumors swirling that teams have been looking to land him. It could be the Rams. There'd been some rumors about the Eagles, although I don't really think that's necessary. Is there any thought that maybe Kareem Hunt isn't used as much tonight because he could be traded? Because if he's traded today, it doesn't matter. We just make the adjustment before the game. That means nothing. We don't have to talk about that, AB. But are there any thoughts that he may not be utilized as much because there could be something in the works? Or I mean, it's hard. It's just hard to figure out.
I think so. I mean, you see it in other sports. You see where guys they don't play or they play very limited because they might get hurt. Well, hell, those sports aren't football. Like somebody could really go out and get hurt. Yeah. If you play a guy and he could possibly bring your team a 3rd or 4th round pick. So yeah, I would, if he's out, if he's on the verge of being traded or there's some serious talks about him being traded, I wouldn't be shocked at all that he doesn't play. Because it's imminent, they're going to get it done. So, yeah, it'd be interesting. I think a team like the Rams could use him. I think, hell, I'd like to have him at my Bears. I mean, even though I love Montgomery and those guys, but Montgomery has no more years left on his contract. I think he'll be gone. So we just got a 4th from you know what? We have not talked about that, and we gave y'all a gift in Robert Quinn.
Oh, yeah. How about that?
We gave you a gift in Robert Quinn. Jeez.
How about that? Yeah. Who was the guy that was crying when Quinn was traded at the press conference?
Roquan Smith.
Okay. I hold on. I to give him a break.
No,
but he was crying because he wanted to be the one that was traded. Let's be honest.
Okay. All right. I was about to say we're professionals here. There's no crying. Come on. Yeah. Like, okay. I missed my guy. Would you have rather it been you? Like, and that's what I was told as a rookie. It's like you come in with 30 guys and all these, you start to see guys leave, and now there's only 4 or 5 of you left. You get that look on your face, and you're like, well, one of the veterans come to me is like, would you have rather it been you? Well, hell no. I mean, I'm just kind of look sad that it's him. I
remember Xavier Howard was talking about. Remember when they traded everyone away from the Dolphins?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But no, I was just setting that up as a joke because, it probably didn't even like Robert Quinn. But Matt, do you see anything with this Hunt situation?
Honestly, you could spin it both ways. Like maybe they don't want to play him because they have a trade partner lined up. Maybe they try to showcase him.
But really he's a known commodity. They know who he is, right? Like, do you have to showcase Kareem Hunt?
I don't know. And that's entirely what I was going to say is I don't know. I think he's probably in his normal role because Cleveland wants to win games at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's not. Yeah, that is true. What's the division look like there?
It's pretty up in the air still.
And they get Deshaun Watson back.
Yes.
Obviously, it's a little ways from now, but he will be. What is it? Week 12. I know that he's suspended 11 games, right?
Yep. They're by somewhere in there, I think, though.
I think it's week
Houston,
12.
right? I think he comes back Houston, which is
yeah. You're right. I think it's week 12 is a bye, so I think they come back week 13. But yeah, I mean, the Ravens are 5-3. The Browns are 2-5, but yeah, they're probably not. They're not tanking. So yeah, we'll see. I don't know. Maybe you just have to make your own mind up on this. I'm not sure it's something that any of us can really tell you for sure.
That's probably the case. Yeah.
All right. Passing game, Matt. Talk to me. What are we doing with the Browns pass aerial attack?
I think you look first at Amari Cooper. It's like the Nick Chubb situation where you have no real price restrictions. You can play as many of the studs as you want. It's just there's a couple of them on the slate, so you have to pick and choose a little bit. Amari Cooper is going to pop in some optimals in the ones where you don't quite have enough salary for, like the players, or you have enough salary to get up to him. I think you can certainly do that. The only thing is he's just a bit expensive. I think you could play, I certainly prefer Higgins over him in a vacuum. If you have the salary to get up to Chubb, I'm going to try to make that jump. But ultimately, I think Cooper's a pretty good value on the slate. He's just kind of overshadowed by Higgins being 400 more. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe though the non-Higgins lineups, you offset that with Amari Cooper, because sure, Cooper's still gonna have some ownership, but I didn't look at ownership, but there's no way that at similar price that he's T Higgins. What? Yeah,
T Higgins dwarfs him.
Dwarfs
him, 20%.
Yeah, right. Yeah, by right around 20%. Yeah, so. We still have Amari with a positive leverage score. Yeah, you're right. That's very interesting that price, like T Higgins is the clear option there, but he's going to be the clear option to everybody.
Yeah. I mean, you can always play them together too.
Oh yeah, of course. I think a lot of people will though. That's why I was saying that maybe, I don't know. I mean, AB, what do you do with the wide receivers here?
Just looking at it, man, obviously the game script is going to tell everything, however you think this game is going to go. If it's going to be a high scoring game, which I think it is, everybody's going to go that way. And I don't see why it is a clear cut Higgins over Amari Cooper when Amari Cooper's going to get double digit targets. He's going to get that. This could actually be a Joe Mixon game on the other side. This could actually go to Boyd on the other side. It's going to be Amari Cooper and Peoples-Jones on the other, on this side. Those are the guys that's going to get 25 targets. That's what's going to happen. I'm more inclined to lead to them. I will have some lineups with Higgins, of course, but I'm going to have some a good number of lineups with Peoples-Jones and Amari Cooper. They're going to get a ton of targets, and they might have to if they get in a game script where they have to throw the ball. So it might just be they get so many targets that they equal out or even surpass Higgins and everybody that has them.
Yeah, very much a possibility. And a couple comments in chat. Sterling said you can literally play anybody tonight, and that sucks. Yeah, it's easy to build good lineups, especially with Higgins' price. This could be one where you pull the old Neil Orfield and look to really leave some salary on the table. Red Dog said too that if Cleveland loses tonight, Hunt is gone. That is very interesting given that the trade deadline's tomorrow. If they go to 2-6, that's an interesting way to look at it, right, fellas? Like if they lose tonight, go to 2-6, then he could be gone. But maybe if they go to 3-5 and they're still in it, Kareem Hunt sticks around, which means that they plan on using him as normal.
For me, with or without Kareem Hunt, I mean, it doesn't make Cleveland worse because you give Chubb the ball more.
Right.
Like I don't see it. Like right. Kareem Hunt, if he goes, he goes. I mean, I think there'll be a fairly similar football team without Kareem Hunt. I think he is definitely an expendable piece on their offense, especially if they lose.
All right, Matt, let's talk some tertiary options here. David Bell, any of these other receivers that most people have probably never heard of. And then Harrison Bryant. And I know I joked about Pharaoh Brown, but with David Njoku out, they run some 2 tight end sets in this offense. It's not like Pharaoh Brown is exciting at all, but does he fall into the end zone at minimum salary? He allows you to do literally anything you want in a lineup. So interesting cheap pieces for Cleveland, even if they're not particularly good.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually love these ancillary pass catchers from a leverage perspective. In a vacuum, there's essentially a Cincinnati player at the same price or a nearby price that projects better than them. So Donovan Peoples-Jones at $5K, well, he projects worse than Hayden Hurst. That's great leverage. You can go down the board here. You have David Bell projected slightly behind Mike Thomas in raw projection. David Bell, he's double the price, 2,400 to 1,200. That's pretty good leverage, just 1-for-1. And then the tight ends you mentioned, I think there are some punt tight ends you can use down here. And you mentioned what we do with the tight end at the top, Harrison Bryant. I think he's an excellent play just in a vacuum. There's not really a lot of players near him. So with Harrison Bryant, you're kind of debating between defenses and kickers. And I think he's an every down player tonight. They are going to use 2 tight ends. So Pharaoh Brown at his price, 200 flat. He's a pivot off Trent Taylor. I think more people are going to go to him. This is an excellent leverage spot, I think, just really across all Cleveland Browns ancillary pass catchers.
I totally agree. AB, any of these other cheap options you want to go to?
No, I'm good. I just wanna say that Pharaoh Brown is questionable with that. I think he had a concussion or something, right?
Yeah, I figured that was the Baltimore game. My assumption was I don't know.
They're being really weird right now with these concussions, man. They're being very, very.
That is true.
So you just gotta make sure he's playing. But yeah, he's a decent punt play for sure. But no, I don't have anybody else. I think I started out in the beginning. I think this is a divisional game. I think this game is a turning point for Cleveland for sure, and definitely for Cincinnati. So I think the guys, the big name guys, are going to get the bulk of this. That's what I think.
Okay. Any other thoughts, fellas? Anyone else we haven't touched on? Kicker, defense, Matt, AB, anything else?
If Pharaoh Brown misses, expect Miller Forrestall to step up. That would be the last thing.
Okay. Yeah, that would be interesting. All right, let's build a lineup. And then you got the NBA strategy show coming up, 7-game slate tonight. Josh Ingham and Adam Scher coming up right after this. One thing though, BetMGM NBA promo. Speaking of NBA, right? Use this promo, get straight into the action in the 10 o'clock show. If BetMGM is available to you, now you can't do this in New York, Pennsylvania, or Mississippi, but if you're in those other states where you have BetMGM, it's one of the most widely available books in the country, and you haven't signed up there yet, and you want to get on different books to be able to shop odds, to be able to have a bankroll there, but maybe you don't want to deposit money. All you have to do, use the link in the description or the one that Mike's throwing in the chat right now. We're just throwing out insane free money promos left and right today. Is use that link, deposit when you sign up for the first time. $10 is all it has to be. More if you want. $10 is the minimum. Take that $10, put it on any pregame money line for the NBA. So any team to win straight up, bet it on the money line. I say bet it on a small dog, because if you win that bet, you still get paid out on your bet, and you're getting the $200 on $10. The BetMGM is going to give you just for signing up and putting $10 on a money line. If you lose the bet, you still get the $200. So you're putting yourself in an amazing spot. You go, okay, I'm on a different book now. I've got this $200 to mess around with that I didn't have. Worst case scenario, I lose all of it and I'm still only down $10. Your downside is literally $10. Your upside is you go on a massive heater. You just don't know what hits you. You can't stop winning. And now you turn it into 4 or 5 figures. You want to use it for football, baseball, basketball, hockey. Doesn't matter. It's yours now. So take advantage of it. Any other time someone offers you 200 for 10, you're doing it. Do it at BetMGM. Shit, even if you're not big into sports betting, it's free money that you didn't have yesterday. And I'm assuming it's only around for another few days. So link in the description, link in the chat, BetMGM. Take advantage of it. 10 into 200. Just bet $10 on any NBA money line today, and you're in business, no matter what. It's a no-brainer. If someone hits a 3, that's what it is. In any game, you got it. All right. Let's build a lineup, fellas, before we turn this one over. Let's start with you, Matt, at captain. We'll go with the $50 entry. I think it's like 1,300 entries, $50 buy-in, 5-6K to first. We like to do smaller tournaments here. And then tonight on the Live Before Lock, they can do a bigger one. Who do you want to captain?
I'm going to go Joe Mixon, get off the Cincinnati pass game.
All right. I love that. I love that. All about Joe Mixon at captain, because you know there's going to be a lot of Higgins there. We got 5 flex spots, AB. Who you going with first?
I want Amari Cooper.
Amari. All right.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go Amari in there. I'm going to throw in, you know what? I'm going to go with Nick Chubb as well. I think you can have easy Amari, Nick Chubb lineups without Brissett, and it still looks good.
Yep.
Matt, 6,000 remaining per player for the last 3.
Yeah, this isn't too bad salary-wise. I think we could still play another guy that's a fairly expensive, I guess, category just because we have some value guys. I'm going to go down. Let's see here. Do you guys have a preference on the value guy? I really don't. So I think Mike Thomas would be the guy I pick.
Yep.
All right. Yeah, I'm cool with that.
All right.
Mike Thomas. Now you got 83 per player remaining, AB.
I was going to go with Mike Thomas. So I like that.
Beautiful.
So, oh, man. Gosh. Okay. Let's do, do I do that? Oh, McPherson. Let's go.
I knew that was coming. All right. I actually like Burrow in this spot because if you're trying to get for a large field tournament, this works really well because if you throw a pass to Mixon that he scores, and then you have Mike Thomas and Higgins and Boyd are just okay in this game, nobody's going with lineups like this at all. So that actually makes it very interesting. Of course, you could go a million different ways, but I'm going to go Joe Burrow. We're going to mix it up a little bit. And also lineup generator over at Stokastic. You get 3 free days just by using the link. If you want all of our NFL tools, everything on the site, 3 free days. The lineup generator is sick. So say you don't have a lot of time and you're like, all right, let Mike put it on the screen already. You're like, I got to build some lineups. We have it for Showdown. We have it for main slate. We have it for NBA. You can go to all lineups or you can go to contrarian lineups, whatever you want. Click on that, build a line, or just click to run lineups. And you can download up to 20 of them at a time in the CSV. You can rerun. You can run as many as you want per session. It's sick, especially if you're running short on time. Check that lineup generator out. You get 3 free days as well. Just use the link in the description. Not just that, but all of our tools. So that'll do it. AB at Alex Brown 96. Appreciate you joining us as always, man.
Absolutely, my man. Yeah, hit that damn like button. Let's go.
Yeah, it's coming from AB. Hit that like. We got to get it. We should be over 100, right? Come on now. 101. There we go.
There we go. All right.
And Matt Gajewski at Matt_Gajewski. We'll see you guys back here for the next one. Peace.